Okay, parents, I am going to try to help you go through this assessment and just explain some of the things I would do with your children. And the beginning is kind of the more important part of what I want to know, and I'm pretty sure I know where your children are at, but I would like to see maybe if you could do this with them. And then let me know just with an email or take a picture of it if you want. So the first page of the assessment says cross off the numbers you know. So what I want you to do is sit with your child and just see if they can tell you what number each one is. So for example, if they know 2 and they say it right away, just cross it off so you know they got it. And then you go to the next one. So if they say 4, cross it off. If they struggle and they don't know that this is 6, just leave it blank. And sometimes if children flip the numbers and say 9 instead, what I would do is write the number 9 here so I remember what number they used instead of the correct number. Does that make sense? And I would just leave it open like that. So if they didn't know 8, but they said it was 9, or if they didn't know 8, I would just leave it blank. And then if they knew 10, I would cross it off, and 3, cross it off, and say they said 5 was the number 8, I would just write the number 8 like that. So that's kind of what it will look like. So you'll remember then that they knew number 2 and number 4, and they got confused with some of the other numbers. If you think that they already know 1 through 10 or 0 through 10, 0 through 9, no, 0 through 10, and you think they know all the way up to 20, just skip that one and go to this one, and it has most of them. It has the beginning numbers and it has the larger numbers. If I know that a child is struggling with the numbers above 10, I don't usually show them this page because it's a little intimidating, and I do this one. But if I already have a feeling that they're more advanced and they're ready, then I would go to the bigger one. Okay, so that's for numbers. Then this one is something I've never used with them before, but it's the opposites, and I thought it might be fun. On page 2, cut out the pictures, glue them next to their opposites on page 1. So let's turn the page, and here it says opposites. So for example, we have clean. So you know the opposite's probably dirty, right? Big is probably small. So what I would do is come to the next page, page 2. See, it says page 2 right here. I labeled it. These are the opposites, and to make it more fun for the kids, you could cut these out and give them a glue stick and help read it to them, or maybe they can just tell by the picture, like this is obviously dirty, so you would cut that out either for them or let them cut it out themselves, depending on what you want to do, and then glue it where it goes. And that can help you see if they understand the meaning of opposite. So you don't worry about this print laminate kind of thing and use Velcro. This is just for you. Usually I do stuff like this on a different piece of paper that I have that I use for everybody. Now this one is the beginning sound. Okay, so they can either say it on their own, queen, or you can say it, queen, and tell them to repeat it, queen. And maybe even help them out with the first one so they understand what you're doing. Like, what sound does this begin with? Qua, qua. Wagon, wagon. What's that sound? And see if they can just say the sound. This is more just to get them thinking and understand what a beginning sound is versus what an ending sound is. Okay, you don't need to let me know how they did on this. This is just for you guys. I want you to understand that we're just working on, understanding that concept. Turtle, yarn, sun. So you can say, this is a queen. What sound do you hear in the beginning of queen? And see if they can say qua. Okay? Rhyming is another cut and glue one. Rhyming is pretty important for them to know. Now, I put A's and B's next to them. So you would cut these out and you would give them the A. So an example would be you cut out goat and then you show them boat, bee, plane, and hat. And you could say, what rhymes or sounds like goat? goat boat, goat bee, goat plane, or goat hat. You could just look at this, but they'll get right away that it's the one right next to it. So you want to mix these up. So goat, boat. What sounds like tree? Tree boat, tree bee, tree plane, or tree hat. All right? So you want them to match, but just give them one at a time. Give them the goat and then lay these out. I think there's 2 pages of it. Yeah. House, mouse, frog, dog, cone, bone. All right? And remember, if they get frustrated or they're over it, don't push it. No pressure. Okay. That was just like an extra thing for you to do that's kind of fun. And now we have 2 different kinds of assessment. The first one is the Oneders TK curriculum that we're supposed to use at school, which I don't really necessarily use. I make sure we meet all the standards and the guidelines, but there's a special curriculum. But I'm going to show you that one first, so you can tell this is something I didn't make up. This came out of the book. They've done this before, I think, at the beginning of the year. So you could have them, this is my name, have them write their name. They can draw a picture of themselves. If you want, because you'll be able to keep this for future, which is kind of cool. You can write down later, like did you have to like remind them, what about your eyebrows? What about your hair? You know, things like that. You can write observations or just not at all. The concepts of print is you're going to get a book. It says to get an unfamiliar book, but you don't have to do that. But you can say, show me the front of the book. And then if they do it, what I do is I use a check. Well, I use a check plus if they do it perfectly, no problem. I do a check if it takes them a while. And then I just do like a minus if just so I can keep track and know. Usually the children aren't seeing this. I'm doing this and they're just holding a book. So I'll give them a book and I'll say, show me the front of the book. And then they just show you the front. And then because I don't want them to see what I'm writing down. I don't want them to get uncomfortable with that. And then I say, point to the title of the book. And, you know, so the goal would be for them to find the title and just point to it. Read aloud the title, The Plant Sitter. This is just a book I found. What do you think this book is going to be about? So you want to know that they're looking at the cover. Maybe they'll spot the animals and the plants and the little boy reading a book. And he's sitting. And you know it's called The Plant Sitter. So what do you think the book's going to be about? So that's another one. Point to where the story starts. So then you want to say, okay, let's read the book. How would I start? And you hopefully they can open it up. And sometimes they point to the cover page and I'll say, yes, that is the cover. That's the title page. But where would I start reading the story? And you want to see that they can go here and point to the first word in the story. And it's also good to see if they can track it with their finger, even if they can't read the words, if they know where to go and then where do they go next, to know that they turn the page and then they start at the next spot where they're supposed to read. Okay, it's just seeing if they understand concepts of print. So then you say, now you're reading the page, where do you go next? Read the story. So after you read it, you want to know if they comprehend it. So read them the story and then ask them some questions about it and see if they can tell you about it, if they were listening or if they were understanding it at all. All right? And then the next one is identify rhymes. So again, you don't let them see this. You're kind of holding this yourself. I usually use a clipboard, and then they're just sitting in front of me or across from me, and I'll say, I'm going to say the words fan, man, and I'm going to ask them, does that rhyme? Fan, man. Does that sound alike? Sometimes these concepts are really hard for them to understand, and they might get rhymes different if you're reading a book versus asking them directly. So see if they can get that mop, mat. They don't rhyme, but you say them, and then you check if they say it does and if it doesn't. And over here, it's generating a rhyme. So if you say cat, can they think of a word that rhymes with cat? And it can be a nonsensical word. It can make no sense at all. They can say dat. But the fact that they're getting it, book, look, chair, bear. Clapping syllables, you say pumpkin. You can always give an example first, like butterfly, and you can clap butterfly. Oh, that's 3 claps. So then when you say pumpkin, how many claps is that? Pumpkin. And if they do it, you write 1 clap, 2 claps, 3 claps, whatever it is they clapped. And it continues. So, a lot of this, this is all just for you if you want to do the response. What I care about right now, because I've already done some of this with them and I can remember from the 2nd trimester, but I'm really curious about their numbers and their letters. But if you would like, you blending, so you say mailbox. What word is that? And the goal is that they say mailbox. And they say butterfly. What word is that? Butterfly. They usually are pretty good with this. And then say the word parts, ask the child to put the word parts together. It's kind of the same. Elephant. What word is that? And hopefully they'll blend it. Elephant. And beginning sounds is kind of like the other one. You don't even need to do this because you already did it with a cut and paste, but you could do it again for fun if they're still digging it. Don't let them see it, because then they'll just look and go, oh, that's F. And you say, what is the beginning sound in the word fish? They don't need to say F. If they do, that's fine too, but you really want them to be able to just say f, fish, say f, and then write down what they said. Like if you say fish and they say t, you just write a t so you know. All right, mop, op, mop. What's that beginning sound? Hopefully they'll say and you can write that in there. So this, I probably should have put at the front. I want to know, it's really important when they go to kindergarten if they can identify at least all the uppercase letters and their numbers 1 through 10. So as they say it, just point to the letter. This is where they can look. Point to it, and if they say C, or even if they say just the sound, K, that's fine too. Cross it off. And they should all know the letters, be able to identify the letters in their name. And hopefully they know all of the letters. But if not, don't worry about it. They're going to get it eventually, and just know to practice it a little bit more. I'm big on sounds, but really to go into kindergarten, the goal is that they only just know that this is a W and that this is a Y and this is an F. So again, cross it off as they do it. If they don't get it, leave it blank, or if they call a K a C instead, you can just write it above so you can remember what you need to work on. And then there's lowercase, same thing. So if you can let me know how they did on their uppercase and lowercase and their numbers, that would be great. And then remember, this is not all at one time, one sitting. This is why it takes so long to do assessments with 26 kids. But you're going to read them a story. This is the 3 Billy Goats Gruff. I've also done the 3 Little Pigs just by heart because you guys all know that story. It's a familiar story that the children know. But you can read the story and then go over here and say, well, I guess it shows you down here on the directions. Look at the pictures. Which picture shows who didn't want anyone to cross over the bridge? So you show them these pictures. This is showing you a star just to point to it so you know where you're at. Which creature did not want someone crossing his bridge? It was a baby goat. That looks like a troll, and that looks like a bigger goat. And the goal is that they say the troll. So I would circle that. If they say big goat, don't say anything, just circle it. So you know what's going on. It's not a time to teach them or to correct them. It's more a time of just seeing what they know. Put your finger on the moon, look at the pictures. Which picture shows what happens at the end of the story? Where's the moon? So right here I see a little goat crossing. Here I see the troll talking to a little itty bitty goat. And here I see all 3 goats eating the grass on the hill. And that's what I would say to the children. How did the story end? Did it end with a goat crossing, with the troll talking to the baby goat, or with all 3 goats on the hill eating grass? And so hopefully they would be able to remember that this was the end of the story. Remember, don't correct them. Just circle it. Okay? I think this question is how many goats were there? And you can say 0 goats, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 goats. Okay. Oh, and then they want you to draw a story about what they listen to. So again, they're understanding comprehension. Can they draw a goat or a troll or a bridge? Just to see how much detail they can remember. Okay. So that's the end of the Wonders one. But what I do with your children, I create my own because I feel like there's so much more information that they know in our class than maybe they just know from Wonders curriculum. So this one's mine. You can tell it's just something I printed up on a computer. Their shapes. I think I added on the next page. Yes, this is just some of the shapes. And really, by the end of TK, they really only need to know, they expect them to know a circle, a triangle, a square, and a rectangle. And then, you know how I feel about this. Most of them will say oval, and it actually says that this is an ellipse. But if they say oval, you can just let it be, or you can say it's an ellipse. But just to teach them, an ellipse is exactly the same, and an oval looks like an egg. Maybe draw an oval down here for them. And then if they say diamond, that's totally fine. But we all know it's a rhombus too, okay? And a trapezoid. Some children go even farther. This curvilinear triangle, that's a Montessori thing. They probably don't know that. And a quatrefoil, you guys don't even have that around your house. Remember, the curvilinear triangle is one where it's a triangle with curved edges. It's really hard to draw. And a quatrefoil is the one that looks like a flower petal. It has four sides, quatrefoil. A pentagon, remember, has 5 sides. Hexagon is 6 sides. Septagon is 7. Octagon is 8. Nonagon is 9. And decagon is 10. They do not need to know that. So please don't get overwhelmed and think they need to know this. If you feel like drawing a septagon or finding a picture of an octagon, maybe they will know it. You never know, they could surprise you. And the continents, I just ask them to sing me the song, or I show them a picture of a map and see if they can identify the continents. Their colors, I'm sure you can find these colors around in your house. So if you get like a red pen and a blue pen and a green pen, or even if you like find like right here, I have a rock, like what color is the rock here? And they'll say yellow, and what color is this? Black. They would know. So you can be really creative. It's just seeing that they know their colors. The motor skills, there's fine motor skills, which is like sewing and 3-finger grasp and tiny things being able to do. That's really important for them to have fine motor skills. You know, when you see children holding a pen like this is really important to break that habit and show them the alligator grasp, and they hold the pen. Always model everything. Be really annoying about it. Anytime that you're writing and they're watching you, you can go like, oh, and grab it. Another way is to put the pencil down or pen down on the table, and you grab it at the point, lift it up, and then push it. So then automatically your fingers are at the edge. I don't know if you'll notice, sometimes they write way up here, and it's really hard to have control. Or like this, there's a lot of this. I even know adults that write like that. But the goal is to teach them 3-finger grasp. So when we're talking about fine motor skills, when it says pouring, I get little containers and have them pour back and forth, or tonging with tongs, tweezing with tweezers, tweezing corn, tweezing little beans and putting them. Maybe I can show you some examples of that. Squeezing oranges and lemons, and the pincher grasp is this. And if they're right-handed or left-handed, I always circle that. Okay, again, ask me any questions. Their large motor skills is more easy. You can get, can they hop on 1 foot, 2 feet? How are they at balancing? Climbing, can they skip? Can they catch? Can they throw? So this one that I created just gives a little bit more information. When it says linear count, I just ask them, count to 10. And as they're counting, I mark it off. And if they keep going, I just draw like an arrow. And I'll say like all the way to 20. If they skip a number, 15 is a big one they skip. I'll put the number they skipped and I'll circle it so I know that they skipped that one and they need to work on that. Some children can even skip by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So you can ask them, try that. Give them an example. Say go 10, 20, 30. What comes next? And see if they know. And again,